To discuss, let's bring in Chris Garcia. He's the former deputy director at the US Department of Commerce for the Trump administration, and Gaston Pereira, the CEO of QPagos. Gentlemen, thanks for being with us. Chris, this seems like a big win from the president. From what we know about the US and Mexico deal, what concerns does this successfully address for the US?
Yeah, this addresses several concerns. Number one, this addresses the fact that prior to this deal today, you had American auto manufacturers shipping jobs overseas ever since NAFTA was first struck 25 years ago. The president campaigned on making sure that American workers got a good deal. The president campaigned on American workers and American companies keeping jobs and manufacturing here in the United States. And today is a great sign of that happening. So what we have today is another fulfillment of a promise by President Trump, and his critics today are not talking about this huge victory. They're talking about other things that, frankly, have nothing to do with the American economy, but that's the story of the year. The story of the year, and our Mexican counterparts will agree, is that the North American continent is doing so well today under President Trump and with the cooperation of our great allies south of the border with Mexico.
Gaston, is this a win-win deal? How is this being received in Mexico?
Yeah, I totally agree. Really, this is a win-win. I think that the free trade agreement is something that needed some adjustment, especially after all these years, 25 years. So I think that everybody's very excited. I mean, the capital markets here are responding. The parity of the peso is responding favorably. I think that this is a win-win for everybody involved. I hope that Canada can also join, and it's going to be a triple win all across, definitely.
All right, Chris, how do you see Canada reacting to this? Because it does now put the pressure on Canada.
Well, it could have been the other way around for Canada, but honestly, Justin Trudeau didn't want to get along with President Trump. In fact, what happened was President Trump spoke tough about relations with Mexico, and Mexico came to the table and said, hey, no, we want to play ball with you guys. Justin Trudeau did the opposite. If Justin Trudeau would have played ball with President Trump from the beginning, you wouldn't have seen him rebuke President Trump after the G7 summit. Instead, President Trump said, you know what, Mexico is looking to actually strike a deal with us. So that's why we had the bilateral negotiations with Mexico. That's why we had them come to the table first.
But
that's
Chris, do you see Canada coming to the party now? Chris, do you see Canada coming to the party now?
Well, I think they have to. I mean, frankly, well, they have to. 20% of their whole GDP depends on on exports to the United States. They have to come to the table. President Trump has done a fantastic job of negotiating with Mexico first to put Canada in the corner and say, listen, guys, either you come to the table or this is going to be called not the NAFTA deal 2.0.
Right.
This is going to be called the U.S.-Mexico trade agreement.
Well,
it's their choice.
Gaston, the Mexicans have indicated their strong preference for this to include Canada. Yes, the president says he wants to throw out the NAFTA name, and he's always favored bilateral deals as opposed to multilateral deals, which he thinks put the U.S. at a disadvantage. But do you see a possible definite bilateral deal with Mexico without Canada?
Well, let me go to the first part of the question. That does Mexico prefer Canada in these negotiations? Obviously, because there's a lot of respect between Mexico and Canada, the same way as the same respect between Canada and the United States, and Mexico and Mexico and the United States. But you know, there is a little wrinkle there. There is a little bit of a technical wrinkle that the fast track was authorized for a trilateral agreement. So I don't know if Congress is willing to receive a bilateral agreement when they gave a fast-track permission on a trilateral agreement. So that's a little bit of a wrinkle that they will have to see. But also, you know, remember that the complexity of the Mexico-U.S. Was a little bit different than the the U.S.-Canada, for example, the automobile sector and the local content and the regional content and the factories that have higher earning wages, while the problem in Canada are different. I think one of the big issues in Canada is an energy clause that has its proportionality, that it sort of ties Canada in their ability to move the energy sector towards different places. So we'll have to see whether Canada can wrinkle out some of those differences that are totally different from the issues that Mexico had. And
Gaston, as you say, it does raise the point of Congress needing to approve this now. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Chris Garcia, former Deputy Director at the US Department of Commerce. And QPagos, I hope I'm pronouncing that correct, QPagos CEO Gaston Pereira. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Nice being here.
All right. Thank you.